All right, we're back down the rabbit hole. It's April Fool's Day. There's no jokes here though, because I'm not that funny. I'm not too comedic with this stuff. But we're back down with the DCEU. Next up is Wonder Woman. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that this is the first fully successful DCEU movie. It got pretty great reviews when it came out. It made a good amount of money. I think it made about 800 million, like maybe a little more than that worldwide. That's pretty good as well. Uh it's generally beloved. I'm not saying this is the best superhero movie of all time, but I know a lot of people that have seen Wonder Woman and have said, "Yeah, I like this movie." So, and that's that you can't say that about Batman versus Superman or Suicide Squad. So, I'll give them that one. But yeah, this is the first time I've watched this in maybe a couple years. I'm not entirely sure on that. And honestly, it still holds up a little bit. I still like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in this, mainly because she's the focus in this one, and I really just like her in this. I like the character of Wonder Woman in general, and I think Gal Gadot does a good job of bringing her to the screen. And honestly, I think that stays consistent throughout most of her appearances in this. Another one we'll get to later, but yeah, this just she does pretty good in this. However, I think I've realized it about this, and also with the trailers of another movie that this actor is in right now. I'm pretty sure Chris Pine is just a cheat code for me, because I just love this guy. I love him in pretty much everything I've seen him in, even in movies that really aren't that good. I just really like Chris Pine in general. A lot of this movie holds up on he and Gal's chemistry, and they carry it. They just work so well together in this movie. And really that's what kind of carries a lot of the enjoyment of this for me. Pretty much the other characters on this, I gotta admit, a lot of their names I've forgotten. So I said the rest of the crew in this, whether it's the Amazons or Steve Trevor's ragtag group of other people, they're fine. I really and like even the German generals, like General Ludendorff, I think was one of the names, and Doctor Poison, they're fine. It doesn't blow me away or anything. Which again, I'll get more into that in a couple seconds. But I think a lot of it is fine. Although, like in terms of acting and just overall like idea, it's not David Thewlis's fault, but the use of Ares just doesn't work for me. it's it really just doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just something that never worked with me when I first saw it. I liked the original idea of Ares not really being the fault of everything, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the actual like story and like how I felt about that. I do like it when fictional movies, mainly comic book movies, they frame it around a real event, similar to how the first Captain America movie frames itself around World War II. And I like that this did it as well. There's also that little framing device of like why the story is being told is because Diana Prince later, like set after the movie, got a picture of her and Steve Trevor and all this and the group of them from Bruce Wayne, which is really the only connection to the DCEU. And I guess you had to put that in there. But it's a nice little touch. I'll say that like the story itself, like on a superhero movie thing, is a little more on the safe side, but I think it's elevated just because everybody knows what they're doing here. And like they're all like from the director Patty Jenkins, I think the script is pretty good here too. Just everybody here behind the scenes and in front of the camera really gave it their all with this, and I really appreciate that in the movie. However, as I said earlier with Ares, maybe not the entire third act, but the last maybe 20 minutes of the movie, like the climactic fight, again, it's a little rough. I have no idea like why that really didn't land as well. I get what they were going for with it, but it just really It didn't work for me at all. The visual effects are perfectly fine as well, but what I do want to point out is the action, because I think just the action across the board is pretty fantastic in this. I love. I feel like there's so many people that have talked about the no man's land scene already. Pretty much, I would say is iconic in the comic book movie lore at this point, and I love that scene. Although I think the beach scene is pretty fantastic. It's close to the beginning of the movie, and with all the Amazons fighting the Nazis, and I actually really love that scene. Pretty much all of the action in this is it's good. It's well choreographed. It's well filmed. Just across the board, it's entertaining stuff here along with that. Yeah, I know it seemed pretty vague with this, but honestly, I just like this movie. I like Wonder Woman. I get why it was so successful. It's hit with so many people, and I do love that. And honestly, if this didn't have Gal Gadot and Chris Pine as the leads, I don't think this movie would have worked as well as it did for me. So overall, I do think Wonder Woman is pretty fun. It's definitely one of the better movies in the DCEU, and it's elevated by the performances of Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. I guess because of them, I'm perfectly fine with giving this a 7 out of 10. All right, I guess it's a little on the shorter side, at least before I edit this down. So my question for today, I don't really have anything specific to Wonder Woman, so I will ask you, what did you watch recently? I recently watched Event Horizon today, and I thought it was pretty good. So what's the most recent thing you watched, whether it's a movie or a show? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe today if you haven't and like the video as well. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.